Hello, I'm the Global Alliance Lead for VMware at AWS, and my name is Rima Olinger. This session focuses on business continuity solutions that we provided our customers using VMware Cloud on AWS. We have noticed that our customers are going through shifting priorities, and these shifting priorities are in three areas. The first area is related to a disruption in the supply chain. There is a customer need to scale their infrastructure and to rapidly respond to business needs. But at the same time, our customers have this constraint that is associated with having to need to use the same tools and the skill sets that are being used for their on-premise environment. The second area in shifting priorities is related to the remote workforce requirement. On one side, there is a need of our customers to set up virtual desktop infrastructure for the remote workers as fast as possible. But some of the areas that they are concerned about is how do I ensure that I have interoperability between my on-prem environment and my new environment? And a third area that is associated with shifting a priority is related to their data center. They need to make sure that they have a plan in place to mitigate the risk in case of a disruption or of a disaster. But at the same time, they're very mindful that they need to maintain the same governance and the same security for their on-prem environment. What constituted a solution for these three shifting priorities is VMware Cloud on AWS. It acts as a hybrid managed service between VMware and AWS. And what it was able to do is provide our customers with this seamless migration path where they could take their workloads from on-premise to the cloud. They were able to have a software-defined data center, VMware's SDDC stack, as a service. And they have achieved consistent operations and interoperability between their on-prem environment as well as the cloud. And one of the benefits that they kept asking us for and they appreciated is the ability to port their applications back and forth once they have been migrated, and from them also to have the ability to modernize these applications. For our audience who is not familiar with the service and is this first time they're looking at it, just a brief summary. What it is, it's basically VMware's software layer of the software-defined data center. It's VMware's Cloud Foundation. And it sits on EC2 bare metal through a common user management interface provided by VMware's vCenter. And from there, you gain access to AWS native services. Now, this service, as I mentioned earlier, is a managed service. It is operated and supported by VMware, and you have the ability to procure that either from VMware or AWS or its network of partners. Some of the key options you have is you could buy it on demand, you could do 1 year, you could do 3 year. It comes in different configurations, different instance types to accommodate your compute and storage needs. You also have and attain its operational consistency that I spoke about, and you are able to scale out in any one of AWS's 17 regions. What are some of the customer-driven use cases that we have seen? The first common use case that we've seen our customers adopt this service for is related to cloud migrations. And these cloud migrations, they could be a data center evacuation or it could be an application migration. A second use case that includes VDI has to do with data center extensions. Now, this is the ability of a customer. Some customers, they want to maintain their existing on-prem environment, but they have a need either for a cyclical capacity, either for a footprint expansion to expand their workloads. So we see customers use that a lot, data center extension. A third use case is related to DR, and this is either to augment an existing disaster recovery system in place or establish a new DR system or even to augment an existing one. So these have been a key use case for us, and we see more and more customers adopt that. And VMware recently acquired the company Datrium in order to roll out a more advanced DR solution that assists customers with storage-heavy workloads. And the last area is related to application modernization. How do you take these workloads workloads? How do you apply either it operational excellence or AI, ML, or application modernization in order to drive innovation and agility for your customers? So we spoke about how this service has been able to add value to our customers in three areas. The first area was to enable remote working. The second area to expand the infrastructure temporarily. And the third area is to mitigate the risk. If we drill down on each area, starting with enabling the remote workings, what customers love about this service is that they have the ability to add desktops in under 2 hours, a massive infrastructure of desktop in a very quick way. And that translates into a business agility for our customers. They love the simplified management that could be achieved by using the same common sets of tools and processes and network setups. And also the ability to have a flexible consumption because you only pay for what you use based on this model. The second area, an example here to share with you is we have looked at the customer adoption and the customer use of VDI and how many VMs were being activated post April when COVID was at its height. We saw a 300% increase in the VMs that are running on VDI. We also saw an increase, 100 plus customers that have started consuming VDI since April. And most of the cases that we've seen came up from risk-averse industries like the banking industry. So again, there was a spike in the use of remote desktop using VMware Cloud on AWS during the disruption period. A second area where VMware Cloud on AWS assisted customers that I spoke about is related to the on-demand capacity. We saw a lot of customers whose business was disrupted and they needed a quick solution there. They no longer can go to the offices. They needed to move their businesses online. And they loved the ability that under less than 2 hours, they were able to spin up an SDDC, and in a matter of minutes, they were able to add up hosts to that. The seamless expansion, this rapid scalability, the ability to manage both environments as if they were one was one of the key features that our customers loved about that service. The third area that we're drilling into is the area of disaster recovery and how you mitigate the risk and how do you ensure, we had some customers that started with their DR strategy for natural disasters, and because it was in place, it really helped them during the pandemic. They were able to diversify the risk because of the availability of this service in 17 regions and 40 availability zones. We were able to set up their works and their environment in different areas across the globe. And what happened is because they could achieve a granular protection with 5-minute RPO, they have minimized the impact of a disruption on their business. And for auditing purposes, they were able to reduce the number of errors that they went through that. So 3 specific areas. What are some customers that have used these 3 examples? I'll start with the first customer, a mid-size West School District. It was the Westminster Plainsboro Regional School District. Specifically, it is a VDI use case. It originally, the customer wanted to develop immediate infrastructure to support for growing needs. They had to support their students, 10,000 students offline. Having a VDI use case and a DR use case in place enabled the school district to move 43 application service to VMware Cloud on AWS, and they have done that over the course of 2 weeks only. It reduced the replacement cost by 50%, and that was a big deal for them. It improved their agility, it improved their preparedness, and they were able to continue conducting and supporting their 10,000 students despite the disruption. So this was 2 types of use cases. It started as a DR use case, and then it evolved into a VDI use case. The second use case is related to, also from a financial institution, PennyMac, and it is a remote desktop use case. It started being a data center evacuation. There was a gap that is related to VDI. Using VMware Cloud on AWS, PennyMac was able to migrate 4,500 desktops into the cloud. And they have done that in a matter of a few days. And the big advantages that they realized from that is that they were able to reduce their login times by 10x and support their users and react to their needs in a much, much faster way. A third area that is related to cyclical capacity and is a great example is related to Dell Technologies. Dell conducts these massive conferences, and there is a need to access hands-on labs. So there was a need for cyclical capacity expansion for a short period of time during the duration of the conference. Using VMware Cloud on AWS, what Dell was able to do was shift to or expand their capacity by 28,000 VMs. That was a big deal because from a performance perspective, they had more uptime than the prior year. That translated into a big business benefit for their users during that conference. And on top of that, there was additional realized cost savings with an efficient high performance by moving temporarily into the public cloud to accommodate these hands-on lab. So what I've shared are three specific examples of how our customers have used VMware Cloud on AWS in order to mitigate the risk, in order to set up a remote desktop environments, and in order to provide cyclical capacities. So if you have a similar business case and you're interested in getting started, the first recommendation is get acquainted with the use cases and the benefits that are associated to ensure that there is a perfect fit between your environment and what VMware Cloud on AWS provides. I highly encourage our audience to do a test drive, do a pilot, do a POC for specific workloads and see how it works with your existing environment. And third, either VMware or AWS, we have a lot of resources that are available to support you. We also make reference material available to you online where you could look into specific features that you care about and specific use cases. With that, I want to turn it into the voice of a partner. So it does not become an advertisement for VMware or AWS. I want to invite a partner that has built a business practice around VMware Cloud on AWS. And they have been very successful in assisting their customers during the pandemic business disruption. I would like to invite to join me from Presidio, great partner of AWS, consulting partner Robert Kim, who is the VP of Digital Solutions, Office of the CTO. Robert, thank you for being with us, and I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Rima. And just to start, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to talk to AWS, VMware, and obviously our partner community. It really is an honor and supportive of all of the work that we've done together for our clients as well as for AWS in partnership. The use case that I wanted to talk about is a client reference, actually that's still ongoing, but one that we're quite proud of. It involves a global e-commerce retailer, very well-known brands. They focus on four primary lines of business. So the first one being the omni-channel technology, where they essentially enhance the user experience across all mediums. So whether it's physical or in the digital space, they combine all of those in order to enhance the overall experience for the client. The second is fulfillment and transport, and that includes inventory management, shipping and logistics, optimizing routes in order to get packages that are ordered faster to their clients. The third is frictionless payment and fraud detection and prevention, which is critical, obviously, as there's been an increase in demand of online transactions due to, obviously, COVID and the pandemic. And then the final one is customer care. And the customer care one's interesting because that is the primary use case that they came to Presidio in anticipation, quite honestly, of the oncoming seasonal rush. So Black Friday, Cyber Monday, The client really needed to provide a solution to flexibly expand their resource capabilities around their core call center and customer care application and platform. They have hundreds of various different manufacturers, vendors, and sellers that participate in this platform, so a very complex configuration. And the existing on-prem platform really only supported around 500 to 700 users. And with COVID and the pandemic, the increase in demand of overall online shopping really made them anticipate that the need for them in terms of their overall number of workforce would be somewhere in the estimate of over 3,000. And they needed to improve the performance of the current platform as well. And so while it was all deployed on VMware's Horizon View, it was not necessarily using all of the newest technology and functionality that they provided in the current version. So we worked very collaboratively with them to design a new pod structure that did take advantage of the new Horizon digital workspace capabilities, such as app volumes, and then deployed that in VMware Cloud on AWS. That original deployment was across 2 SDDC sites, regionally comprised of about 10 nodes. But the reality was, based on the need for that flexible expansion, we really needed to have the ability to flex up to 40 plus nodes in a matter of minutes. And halfway through the POC, interestingly enough, the client unfortunately had a breach of a 0-day variant that essentially took down about 50% of their production capacity. And while VMC, the environment that we built for the pilot, wasn't originally intended to be used for recovery, the fact that we were able to do so very flexibly really allowed us to recover those production assets in a fraction of the time that it would took if they were to essentially reprovision that all on-prem. So we were not only able to recover the client environment to an operating state in this shorter manner of time, but more importantly, we were able to, in parallel, really prepare for the holiday onslaught for all of the retail expectations that they had with the increase in demand. And I'm very proud to say that we were able to get through Cyber Monday, Black Friday, and the big holiday storm without any significant performance or availability issues. And I think the client pretty much said it best. Without the technology as well as the resources that Presidio, AWS, and VMware brought to the table, they wouldn't have been able to survive this holiday season. And more importantly, they really did look at the solution we put together as something that potentially saved the organization.